Thanks for joining me for another video. My name is Sean and I'm a registered dietitian. Today we are going to do some nutrition support calculations for an intubated patient. So if you're new to my channel or you're new to nutrition support, I recommend you check out some of my other videos where I sort of walk you through formulas and how to calculate it. This is going to be more of an advanced type calculation, so check out those videos if you want a refresher. Otherwise, you can just jump in and we'll do this calculation together. So there's going to be a few things here to note that I wrote down for you. So here we have our intubated patient. They came in with respiratory failure, and because they're intubated, we know that the correct equation to determine their nutrition needs is going to be the Penn State equation. Now go to the Nutrition Care Manual from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and type in their weight, their current age, their gender. You're also going to need to know their highest temperature in the last 24 hours. So go through the vitals in the electronic health record, and the nurses should be documenting very frequently the temperature of your patient. Find out the Tmax, the maximum temperature in the past 24 hours. You'll also need to know the minute volume. That's going to be under respiratory's documentation. So open up respiratory notes or ask the nurse, hey, where do I find this information? You go into the respiratory notes and you'll see something called minute ventilation or minute volume. And I do the average of the last 5 readings. That lets you know their oxygen demands. And so with that information, that will change the calorie needs based on the Penn State equation. So you need this data. So I hypothetically put it into the Penn State equation and got 1,700 calories and 80 grams of protein, or 1.2 grams per kilogram. So with that being said, what formula and what prescription are we going to give for this patient while they're on nutrition support? Well, even though our formula has 7 different formulas on it to pick from, there's really only 2. Well, there's more than 2. There's 3, but formulas that are specific for ICU patients. But these are the most common that we use. So I'm gonna figure out which one of these is the best formula for them. There are some other exceptions, but we're just going to do our standard critical care type formulas for this patient. So this patient also happens to be on a medication called propofol, which is a sedative, and it's a lipid emulsion. It's a 10% a lipid emulsion. So there's a few facts that we need to know here. The first one is anytime you have a 10% lipid solution, that means you're going to get 1.1 calories per milliliter. If you have a 20% solution, that's going to give you 2 calories per milliliter. So if we have propofol running at 15 milliliters per hour times 24 hours in a day times 1.1 cals per milliliter. So ultimately what we end up doing is the hours cancel out and the milliliters cancel out, and what you get is 396 calories per day. And then if you do the same, I have 2 different scenarios here. There's one with 22 mils an hour will give you 581 calories from lipids per day. Cool. So now what formulas are we going to use? Generally speaking, if we have a high dose propofol value such as this, I'm more likely to use Vital HP because it's higher in protein per calories. Whereas with lower propofol amounts, I tend to use Vital AF because you can still give them a bunch of protein and they don't have a whole bunch of their calories zapped from propofol. So what we do is we'll take our 1,700 kcals that our patient needs. Then what we're going to do is we're going to subtract what they're getting from propofol because we don't want to overfeed them. So this gives us a remaining 1304 calories that have to be met from nutrition support. So how are we going to do that? So let's just take Vital AF for example. So we take our calories, we divide by the calorie concentration. This is all in my other videos too. So if this is new to you, check out those other videos. And then we divide 1304 divided by 1.2. And then we divide by 24 hours in a day to give you a goal rate of 45 mils per hour. So if Vital AF is running at 45 an hour, it will give you approximately the calories that this patient needs. But the question is, will it meet their protein needs? So what we do is we take our 45 an hour, because remember, we're always going to round up. So if this is 44 or 43, we're always going to round up. So you take your new rounded up number, 45 an hour, times 24 hours gives you your multiplier. 1,008 milliliters per day, or 1.08 liters per day. That's your multiplier. And so what you do is you multiply your 1.08 by the calories and by the protein to make sure that with this rate, they're meeting both those amounts. Remember though, they only really have to meet this kcal amount here. So we're going to multiply by 1,200 kcals, and we're going to multiply by 75 grams of protein. So let's go ahead and do that. 1.08 times 1,200. That gives us 1,296. That's pretty close to their calorie needs. So what this is showing us is that Vital AF at 45 an hour will give you just over a liter of volume a day. 1,200 kcals per liter gives us 1,296, which is very close to the calorie needs. So we know that this will meet their calorie needs. The question is, will it meet their protein needs? So 1.08 times 75, 81 grams of protein. So Vital AF at 45 an hour will meet their calorie and protein needs, assuming that propofol is running. Now I did this math with Vital HP. Now, if you run Vital HP at 55 an hour, you have to run it a little bit more because it's a lower calorie concentration. You'll give them like 114 grams of protein. So you could do Vital HP, but I don't think that they need 114 grams of protein. Vital AF is a better formula for them if propofol is running at this lower rate. Now let's say hypothetically we follow up with them the next day and their propofol is now running at 22 an hour. So let's take a look at what that would mean in terms of changes to their nutrition support recommendation. All right, so we're not going to recalculate their Penn state. We just calculated it yesterday. So what we do, they need this. We're going to subtract the calories from their propofol, 581. Gives us a remaining balance that has to be met from nutrition support. So they need this, and they need 80 grams. So these are the numbers we have to meet with them on propofol at 22 an hour. So we take our 1119 kcals, divide by the calorie concentration. This is a 1 cal. And then we divide by 24. And this gives us our ballpark hourly rate. divided by 24 gives us 46.6. Well, what are you going to do? Knowing that the formula is not going to be running for 24 hours exactly, I'm going to round up to 50. So this gives us 47 mils an hour, but I'm going to round up to 50. Okay, cool. So with our rounded up rate, 50 mils per hour times 24 hours divided by 1,000 gives us our multiplier. So 50 times 24 divided by 1,000 gives us 1.2 liters per day. And then we multiply that by 1,000 calories and 87 grams of protein. Cool. So 1.2 times 1,000, this will give our patient 1,200 calories, and it'll give them 104 grams of protein. So the 1,200 calories plus the propofol calories gives us 1,781. So what we're going to do is we'll end up overfeeding them by 81 calories. Not a big deal. And we're going to be giving them 104 grams of protein instead of 80 grams of protein, which is a little high, but it's not excessive. And the reason why, you could run the numbers again with Vital AF. So if I just run these numbers real quick, if we need 1,019 divided by 1.2 divided by 24 gives us a rate of 40 an hour, which gives us a multiplier of 0.96. So if you do 0.96 times 75, what you'll find is that if the propofol is running at 22 an hour and you chose Vital AF, they would only get 72 grams compared to this being 104 grams. I would rather give my patient 104 grams than 72 grams if their needs are 80. And then for the flushes, I'll just do a standard Q 4 hour, 60 mil Q 4 hour flushes. So I hope you found this video helpful. Again, just to recap, we have an intubated patient. They're on 2 different propofol amounts. We have 2 different ICU formulas. One's lower in calories and higher in protein, which is going to be better when they're getting a lot of their calories from propofol. And then we have Vital AF, which is moderate in calories, a little bit higher in protein. So this is going to be good for patients that are on propofol, but not high doses of propofol, because you might end up not meeting your patient's protein needs. So that's how I run the math. If you have any questions, post them down below. If you want me to go over any of this again, or you want me to elaborate on anything, I will. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Cheers.